Hey everybody, welcome to the PIPCAST 3000 on its grand episode 100 at the very end of 2022. We did not plan this to happen, it just kind of did. So Merry Christmas and also happy episode 100 because it's coming out on Christmas Day. And I expect only a couple hundred people to actually listen. So I'm Kiddo Genesis. This is my co-host Bad Company Sarge.
Howdy.
And my other co-host, Jared of Jarred Gaming.
Hello there.
And we're going to be talking about gaming type of stuff. This is usually a Fallout dedicated topic type of podcast thing, but we're kind of doing like a year in review type of thing. At least that was the idea that kind of stuck when I started writing it down on the outline. So I guess that's kind of what we're going to do after we get through the newsy stuff, because there is some newsy stuff to go over. And also, Sarge, if things work out, like you'll be sending me a little bit of B-roll of New Vegas, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm emailing it to you right now.
Oh, I appreciate that. And there will be some Fallout 3 from the playthrough that I'm doing. And there will also be some Crisis Core footage, because I played Crisis Core Reunion before, or over the last couple of weeks. I'm still burpy.
Get it out, man.
Okay. First thing is our comment of the cast before we head into the news. And it was a comment left by Rook76 when we were talking about the price hike with Starfield, when the $70 price tag becoming a lot more normalized. So would you, Sarge, be willing to read the comment of the cast?
Sure thing. Rook76 says, I think $70 is fair. With that $70, you could have hundreds of hours of fun, if not thousands. To me, that's worth it. If the game is good, I mean, these days $70 will get you a shocking little amount.
Yep. It's a bit of a self-defeating comment, I think, because I had a couple of points that I forgot to mention in the last episode when we were talking about it. But the last part of that comment actually leaves a good example as to why we shouldn't pay $70 on some things, because they are released in broken and or not fully delivered states.
Okay.
Which was one of the things, like yeah, I'll pay a decent amount of money for a good done polished game, but how many good done polished games have released in the AAA space, like without issue kind of thing?
Yeah, I get that. That's...
Also, discs aren't needing to be pressed out as much, so there's that too.
Your first point, I think, is a strong one.
It's the whole like, since everything is moving over to digital, like they're not needing to put forth as much money for distribution.
Yeah.
Because it's all online now, or majority of it is online.
But the costs haven't gone up in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That is true. And I know you did the math.
Yeah, I actually wasn't expecting these to be your arguments, so I've been researching the minimum wage in America over the past 70 years. And I had so many rebuttals and rebukes, and I was like, oh no, he's just going to bring up some other fairly valid points. Fine, whatever.
I mean, yeah, inflation is a part of it, but there was also those other nuancy things that I didn't mention. So
yeah.
Now I've mentioned them. So thank you for bringing it back up, Rook76. I am still going to be loud about not wanting to pay $70 for a new game, especially if I have a justification later where I'm like, oh, this came out really busted and I paid $70 for it. I should get what I pay for it. So I can get those hours of fun on launch, not, a year later, which we've experienced with multiple games at this point.
Cyberpunk.
Like Cyberpunk. Are you me today?
Game of the year, right?
Game of the year, Cyberpunk 2022. Okay, well, thank you, Rook76, again for the comment. Good bringing it back around. So we had some things to look forward to for like this month and the next year, because Starfield is supposed to be Q1, and we don't know.
Wait,
when...
is it actually Q1?
It's supposed to be Q1 for Starfield.
Really?
It's like February
I'm pretty
release,
sure.
I believe.
What?
What? How do you not know this?
Yeah, that's what's going through my brain right now. I was like, well, it's releasing sometime next year. I have literally no idea when. I've not heard any of the Q1 or February.
I thought it was confirmed Q1. They just didn't give a date.
Starfield arrives exclusively on Xbox Series X/S and PC in 2023.
It just says 2023.
Just as 2023. That's all I've ever seen on like official stuff.
God dang it! All right.
Have you guys been listening to people on the internet who don't make the game again?
No.
I'm pretty sure I was looking and or listening at official stuff where I'm drawing this memory from.
To be fair, I do hope it's early. Like, I actually
Yeah, me
want it to
too.
be late February, early March would be kind of perfect time, I think.
Yeah, maybe my brain's just manifesting that
Yeah.
that like it has to be the first quarter. Why wouldn't it be?
Come on, everyone, we're waiting. Caedo and I have both resorted to Let's Play style content now. Just give us a new game.
Yeah. I'm worried about Sarge burning out more than me for Let's Play stuff.
No,
though,
it's
'cause
fine.
there's so many
Daily content,
frickin'
daily
series
content,
going
daily
on
content.
all the time.
I can't wait to
Quantity.
mod it.
Uh,
Make it better.
You mean
and
modify?
fix the game.
You mean modify the gameplay with modifications?
yeah. What day one mods are you going to install, Jared?
Oh man, so many.
We're gonna install the ladder animations mod because they might cheat and make it a teleport.
I want the big boobas mod.
Oh dear.
Anyway, speaking of Starfield, we had a nice constellation Q&A between the community manager and Will Shen,
Yep.
who is the lead quest designer in Starfield.
Mhm.
So we have that linked, as well as a full interview document style in link down below too. He talked about it's been a little too long since I watched this actually.
I mean, I remember the answers being fairly vague but reassuring. It was like the biggest takeaway I got from this. They're clearly not wanting to like fully tell everything.
Oh, I remember one. I'm gonna be paraphrasing, so it's gonna be a little Caedo sporadic, doesn't know what he's talking about kind of thing. But he was talking about how they advanced the Radiant system for planet side discoveries,
Yes.
and being able to generate like full on like dungeon and quest locations like all at once,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. I still think the Radiant system in general kind of depersonalizes a little bit, like because I like the personalized kind of content
Yeah.
made for
I hope there's plenty of Radiant stuff, but I hope they don't rely on it so much as they have done in previous games.
maybe that's my main concern.
Yeah. I feel like it's actually a really good system when you're not constantly doing it rather than narrative
Yes.
stuff. It's good for breaking things up and just having like some almost still adventure related downtime. The Radiant system's great for that, but when you do like 10 hours of Radiant quests and half an hour of an actual story quest, the balance is too off there.
Can't wait to go rescue some settlements.
But there'll be space settlements, Jared.
Hey,
Yeah,
if there's space Preston, I'm okay with that. Be like, what's up, dude?
Will Shen does actually say, on the question, are there any new features that you're most impressed with or excited about in Starfield? He says that everything we let the player build is super cool. So, the building apparently is great, and the lead quest designer thinks so. Didn't say the quests or the narrative and stuff, he said the building. The building's the most exciting thing.
Interesting.
As long as it's not, one of those integral you have to do it kind of things.
Yeah.
Didn't they? Was there a mention of like a blueprinting system, or is that again my brain just
That's your
wanting
brain,
something to
I
happen?
think.
Probably. Okay.
I do know they
good
talked
job,
about
Caedo.
quests in a kind of roundabout way and said you don't become faction lead, or I want to make it so you can join every faction and kind of experience it in
Yes.
different ways.
That was one of my concerns.
Yeah, like, I feel like, honestly, there's not much said in the interview there that's, like, solid. And the big thing I see all the time, especially with Bethesda games, is people getting, like, one vague sentence and extrapolating it. Like, Todd Howard, the whole, you can climb that mountain thing. And some people going, there's going to be climbing gear and ropes and stuff in Skyrim. Like, I've seen it too many times now. So, I'm always a bit, what did they actually say about it?
Right.
And as normal, they've not been saying too much. But the not always becoming faction leader is kind of nice. I think that clearly shows that they've heard the criticism of, like, oh, you're guild leader of everything in Skyrim now, congratulations. And how that's a bit hollow. So, it's a good sign.
Yeah. And then you go, you know what, I'm good. Just keep giving me quests or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah. I will say that Will Shen was the lead quest designer for Far Harbor and Fallout 4, which is like one of the most highly praised for the whole story and quest design in basically all of Fallout, honestly.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So a lot of people have been reassured by knowing he's the one doing Starfield.
The first time it felt like, I don't know, like there wasn't some kind of maybe MacGuffin you were working towards kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you were being strung along by MacGuffin after MacGuffin or whatever. But maybe I'm just hyper focused on Fallout 3 because like that's what I've been playing a lot. They're just like, oh, you must get to Project Purity. Oh, you gotta find your dad is a MacGuffin, by the way. Then you gotta find freaking the Gek after you find your dad. Like, it just keeps going. And the Gek is also a Chekhov's gun, right?
Yes.
Because he taught me about that, Sarge.
I don't know in which way you're trying to use that.
Because the Gek is going to be used.
Is the Gek shown at the start of Fallout 3?
No.
I mean,
is that the requirement?
Yeah,
it's shown...
Chekhov's gun is that in a play, if you have a gun hanging up at the start of it, by the end of the play, the gun will have gone off.
From Act 1 to Act 3.
Yes, presuming there's 3 acts in this story you're going for.
Okay, well, Chekhov's gun then is the picture you take with your dad. Because you see that in the final act.
Oh, God. We'll have to do this outside of the podcast. I don't think I can teach you, like, narrative tropes and structure in such a way like that. I'm trying to think of, like, an actual clear, like, super clear-cut example of Chekhov's gun in one of the Fallout games, and I really can't.
I mean, the Gek is shown in the beginning cutscenes of Fallout 2, and then that is your objective, like, throughout the game.
But then, like,
the objective still expands out, Yeah,
I think you're using Chekhov's gun too broadly, because you could be like, well, this character shows up at the beginning of the play, and they're there at the end of the play. Chekhov's gun is all to do with not having pointless elements in. So if the gun is there at the start, then it has to be used by the end. You don't just have it for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really think of a good example in any Fallout game of that. Because it's not so much of a game thing, it's much more of a story structure thing, where you need to cut down and trim the fat. Whereas in games, the fat makes it taste better. I'm real hungry.
What a good metaphor. But then if there's too much fat, Radiant quests.
Yes. That's when you're like, but where's the meat? I just appear to have, like, a lump of fat here.
I can make a candle with so much fat, which is why there's a settlement creation bullcrap. You take the fat and you make it into a ship. We've just described the entirety of Starfield.
Uh-oh.
Good job, boys.
Let's see how much of this is actually correct by the time it comes out. Something else that's Bethesda-oriented, kind of, is Josh Sawyer. He's guilty by association, according to many fans, right, Sarge?
Yes. So,
what did he say?
On Twitter, Josh Sawyer tweeted, "Since Pentiment came out, I've seen people attribute things to me that I did not do, erase me from things that I absolutely did do, and ignore large numbers of other devs who also did a huge amount of work. This is most notable with Fallout New Vegas, so let's do this again. 1 out of 8. Yeah, So then he talks about a bunch of people who did stuff in New Vegas, which he just regularly gets credited for. And we were discussing it a little bit before the podcast as well. And I believe you mentioned Todd Howard as well was like the speaking head, and everyone's like, well, Todd Howard did this and this, when you're actually talking about like a huge team of people.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, no, it's Todd Howard.
Yep. And especially when it comes to like 76, because Todd Howard was maybe hands-on for a small portion of the development of 76, but he wasn't there for the majority of the time.
Yeah. I think the reverse happens as well, where as well as over-attribute... no, is this the reverse? I don't know. I can't think of the right words for it, but I was going to mention Emil Pagliaro. I can never pronounce his last name. Yeah, but I know there's like a subset of the Bethesda fan base, or the Bethesda anti-fan base online, who's like, Emil has ruined everything, it's all his
the blame
fault.
Emil
Yeah.
group.
Which
yeah.
is always a weird one to me, because he is a public face of Bethesda, or more public than a lot of the devs, technically, and he definitely did work on some of the stuff that you didn't like, but we really don't know who exactly did what most of the time. And one thing I'm really liking about Bethesda at the moment is they're doing pretty regular interviews with like members of their work staff, and they just kind of get to talk about stuff they've done. And it's like, we had, I can't remember any of their names, so I apologise, but we had like a UI artist as one of the interviews, which is really cool, because that's a role which you don't really hear people talk about much.
Yeah.
But I think that being the public face of a subset of developers or anything like that comes with its pros and cons, because you do get rewarded for stuff you didn't do, but also people will blame you if they didn't like the thing overall, regardless of whether or not it was your fault.
Yep. Oh, they had the Fallout retrospective thing go too. That's a thing that happened that was leading up to the Fallout 4 next gen.
Yeah,
I think.
I wonder when that's going to be.
Yeah.
See, I was actually hoping that would come out, then a month or two later we'd get Starfield.
Yeah.
Because I doubt I'm going to, like, cut my Starfield coverage all that much to cover Fallout 4 next gen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'll give it
Absolutely
maybe a
not.
day or two, but that'd be it.
I don't think if anybody watching has noticed, but I have a real hard time switching gears when I'm doing something. Like we got Jared over here who's playing a new game almost every other day.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
It's a compliment
Thank you.
because I can't. I have a really hard time doing that.
Well, I mean, it helps that the games that I play are usually like 15 minutes long, so
Yeah.
you know, don't really have much choice.
Yeah, imagine if you did spend, like, weeks on a 15-minute game.
Oh, boy.
Well, guys, we're looking at the pixels in this section of the screen today. Let's
Don't-
count them.
I'm gonna do that now. Thank you.
Do it.
Might be kind of funny. Hey, who knows?
Yeah, another idea for a April Fool's thing. I know I rarely ever follow
No,
up on those.
I'm gonna do it
but-
for real. Take it seriously,
Okay.
Caedo.
All right.
Not all of us.
Super serious.
Yeah. Not all of us
Honestly,
just
I
gonna
think
playing around.
The best April Fools is to do it on any day other than April the 1st, because you always catch people out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it the week before April the 1st, and then April 1st comes along, and it's just gonna be normal content. Anyways, digressing here, guys.
Yeah.
You know who is very good at switching up their roles?
Who's that? Who's that?
Henry Cavill!
I don't believe it.
Oh, okay.
What happened this time, Sarge? Did the Superman thing not work out? Did that suddenly fall through?
Henry Cavill's not Superman. I don't know where you ever heard that. That's entirely false information. Stop lying to me, Caedo. No, he's not Superman. He's also not Geralt, except for in the next season of the Witcher Netflix show, which he will be, but it's going to be a big send-off and then he's gone. What he is some dude in the Warhammer 40k universe.
Yay.
just some dude.
Well, we haven't really got a role yet.
Oh.
It's the specific is Amazon Studios secures first of its kind rights to Warhammer 40,000, with Henry Cavill set to star and executive produce global franchise. So, yeah. He's involved in it, which is not surprising because he's big into his Warhammer, and especially like his 40k. I know he plays a lot of that on tabletop and really likes the miniatures. And there's the famous clip of him pointing out chandeliers that look like Blackstone fortresses, which is cute. But yeah,
I know he's your husband, Sarge, but like
yes.
I don't have any frame of reference for this pointing out chandeliers thing.
He said that chandelier looks like this thing from a sci-fi world. Imagine if you pointed at a chandelier and was like, that looks like Whiterun. And people would be like, yeah, we really messed up making that a chandelier, didn't we?
That sounds like a
that's
cool
weird.
chandelier, actually.
That's weird. Rohan looks like Whiterun. Weird. Must have been inspired by the Elder Scrolls or something.
Yeah, there isn't actually much information on what this project is, which is why there's a lot of guesswork going in. It's been announced more so that people kind of know that Henry Cavill's getting on with something he likes, because I think especially a bit of the backlash with leaving The Witcher and not being Superman anymore and all of that. I can understand wanting to be like, hey, I'm doing this other thing I'm really passionate about. Which is cool. And I'm hoping it'll be a good series, but we know nothing about it. Some people are claiming he's going to be like one of the Primarchs or the Emperor, and I'm talking to two people who don't really do much 40k, do you?
No.
Do you know who the Primarchs are?
They're Prime. And
their names are Mark.
And yes, they're shaped like a big U. Like an arc.
Oh,
they hold up
Prime arcs.
Yes, I very literally dissected that.
Wow. You know what? Let's just not worry about it. I was going to ask if you knew who the Emperor was, but I will say, Jared's co-host for. How can I not say it?
The Babbling Bros.
Yes, for
the
that.
Babbling Bros.
What is happening right now? Are you having a stroke?
I can't say blah blah blah.
What is happening right now?
I've got a speech problem, alright.
This.
I'm not. There's certain words I can't say, and it turns out that's one of them.
Immersion. I am in no way making fun of you for not being able to pronounce it, but I'm also definitely making fun of you.
Yes, that's acceptable. No, Crazy Eyed Eddie recently read up on, watched up, I suppose, on a bunch of 40k lore. So if you bring that up to him in your podcast, which everyone should check out, then he'll probably have stuff to say about it.
Oh, interesting. I will have to try to remember.
40k is a really interesting lore, though. I think the big thing is this going to be after the Emperor is dead, or is it going to be like Horus Heresy stuff? Personally, I love the whole Heresy storyline, and I've been reading about it in some of the Black Library books, which is great. But I understand wanting to go for afterwards, because the Horus Heresy is like a predetermined story where you always know what's going to happen, because it's set in the past. And by the past, I mean like the 21st millennium, which is the future.
Okay.
Sci-fi.
Yes. Commenters, please help Sarge and have a conversation with him in the comments, because I have nothing to offer. I don't know if Jared does either.
I don't. My whole deal with Warhammer is like, I find it really interesting. I don't know anything about it, and I do enjoy listening to Sarge talk about it because he does know a lot about it. But it's one of those things where I feel like there's so much, and you've said the same thing, Sarge, that there's just an immense amount of lore with Warhammer that I feel like if I tried to get into it now, I'm like so far behind that I would never figure it all out. So I just haven't ever really dove into the Warhammer pool, so to speak.
Yeah. I feel like both with Warhammer and with 40k, you have to accept that there's going to be so much you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I know when I talk about it, it sounds like I'm all-knowing and have all of the answers and stuff, but I don't know who most of the Primarchs are, because I don't really get that big into 40k. And even with Warhammer Fantasy, I just learned about Gorfang or Gorgfang the other day, who's like a famous ogre who I'd literally never heard of before, and that was like a new bit of lore that I had no idea about. And yeah, they are such big worlds that you're never going to learn it all. Like, I'd say they probably have equal to or more lore than Star Wars. Like, they're that kind of huge.
Yeah.
I imagine there's books and everything.
Oh, yes. There's... I'm gonna see how many Horus Heresy books there
Books
are.
and games and shows? There's no shows yet.
There's no like
Fan-made.
official stows, but yeah, there's some
The
really
fan-made
good fan-made
animations,
stuff.
I've seen some of those. Those are
Yeah,
sick.
absolutely gorgeous. But Henry Cavill will be doing the first proper 40k show.
Wow.
I've also checked, and as of September this year, there are 61 books in the Horus Heresy franchise, which is just one aspect of like the history of 40k. Yep.
So is there a difference between is there Warhammer and then Warhammer 40k, or is it just the same thing?
So Warhammer on its own is either Warhammer Fantasy Battle or Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar kind of sucks, so we'll talk about fantasy instead.
Sigma!
Sigmar. Yep. So Warhammer just on its own is kind of a fantasy series, and Warhammer 40k is the sci-fi one.
Got
Also,
it.
Sigmar, who's like the god kind of thing, is basically the Emperor in 40k. They're not actually the same character, although there are obviously theories that say that, but they hold the same kind of role to it all.
So the fantasy world and the sci-fi world possibly exist in the same universe, but are also separate. But there's...
I mean, they're separate, but it's like how you can say Skyrim and Fallout exist in the same universe, because there's
Okay.
some shared things to them, but there's nothing actually properly linking them. It's
Okay.
pretty much the same thing with fantasy and 40k.
Okay. Huh. I did not know any of this. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing whatever Henry Cavill
Yes.
does next. Once he's given the opportunity to actually do something, because I feel like I kind of feel for the guy a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he just wants to do stuff, really nerdy stuff, and he's not getting the chance to.
I mean, you say he's not getting the chance to. Superman, Geralt, Warhammer.
Or it's
Like-
not, as of current, is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it's not working out the way he had hoped.
He's not
kind of
getting the
thing.
chance to stick with it.
Yeah.
I will say I was
Um,
definitely bummed about the whole Witcher thing, but it is definitely cool to see that he's finding something that he really wants to do. Like
Yeah.
it makes more sense now that it's not just like, oh, I don't want to do this or I can't do this. It's like, oh, there's this one opportunity that I have that I would be a fool to pass up on.
Yep.
You know, I'd actually heard rumors that he was maybe going to be the next Bond.
I mean,
Oh.
I feel like there's so many Bond rumors constantly circulating around.
That is true. That is true. I would have been okay with that though. I think he would. I think he'd make a pretty good James Bond.
I wonder if the James Bond franchise is ever gonna die. I really wonder that. Is it maybe it could be like a Doctor Who. Doctor Who is still constantly going, right?
Well, it's over
Yeah,
50
I mean,
years.
it takes breaks and stuff.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's actually 50. It's 50 years? No, 60 years is how old James Bond is.
Oh. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
James
Dr.
Bond
No in
is
1962.
kind of. There's similarities with, honestly, with Doctor Who, with like different actors playing the role. I don't know.
That's why my comparison. I drew my comparison to that because, yeah.
And I actually
Definitely
just
just make
those
it
are-
where it could keep on going.
I just found out
Long-lived.
on blah 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 bros.
It's your podcast.
Sorry, I know I'm just making fun of Sarge some more because I know he can take it. I just found out that freaking David Tennant's coming back as the next Doctor. He's returning as the
Yes.
Doctor. I'm like, what? I was not expecting that. I'm down for it because I like Tennant as the Doctor, but I was not expecting that. Anyways,
That's cool.
I just wanted to throw that out there. Since,
I'm happy for the Who heads.
Whovians.
yes.
The Whovian heads?
Whovians. Just Whovians.
The Hoovers.
I'm going to find
Hoovers.
you and I will fight you.
It shows how much I actually know.
It's okay. Eddie said the same freaking thing, actually.
Oh dear.
I think it's fresh in my mind because you guys were talking about it in the first episode. So
It's like, what are the odds?
Yep.
Well, I'm glad that I, as the only person who got it right, am perfectly safe being in a different country.
I'll come in,
and not 2 hours away.
I'll come and get you. I'll come and get you. Don't you worry. I will find you.
Something that also found us and may kill us is Amalur Re-Reckoning got an arena mode update to the surprise of anybody who hears about it, which is probably very little.
Yeah. I honestly did not think there was an update until you added it in the outline, and I was downloading the update as I thought nothing was happening.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the arena mode released. Merry Christmas is what their post says. I'm not sure who made this post on Steam for Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, but they say, "Hello, today we have a special present for you. An all-new challenge awaits you in the form of an arena mode. Update the game and master the challenge. Prepare to put your battle skills to the test in Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning's all-new arena mode. Round after round, you will fight hordes of enemies in brand new arena locations. The stakes are high and rewards await those who can show their mettle. Please, gear up and use powerful enchantments." I don't know where please came from. "Gear up and use powerful enchantments as difficulty increases with each new battle. Prove your worthiness by completing round challenges to receive even more rewards. Do you have what it takes to leave the arena victorious?" The features are 3 new arena locations and additional variations, new enemy group setups with increasing difficulty per round, and new rewards. They didn't add any more details besides that, but I'm gonna guess there's even more gear to collect, or they've maybe put in, as a guess, they've maybe put in something that better helps guarantee you get set items. But I don't know. That may be a stretch of the Caedo silver lining hopefulness.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely an arena of some sort.
Yep. That's what it says, so that's what there is.
I had been half tempted to go back to Kingdoms of Amalur, so maybe I will go back to it at some point as Bezbis as well. Because I'm still annoyed that I didn't get to play the new content, because you have to be max level for it to be manageable.
Yep.
So maybe the arena will be a good way for me to level up while doing something new.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's not, starting at that level. That would be stupid.
I am worried it will be. You need to be max level to handle it as well.
Well, if it says 3 new arena locations, it makes me think that, there's different level tiers.
Maybe.
So, I hope so. I hope so.
I'm be perfectly honest. I'm a little bit over arena fighting. I don't know about you guys, but at this point, it kind of just feels like lazy. We don't know what to do. Let's just make the character fight in an arena, and we don't have to explain anything because it's arena. I don't know.
I've been over it.
Good arenas, the two that immediately come to mind, is Fallout 3: The Pit, where you're fighting for your freedom, and The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, the arena in there, where there's a storyline attached to it with some interesting characters and stuff. And you're doing it for the glory of the arena and stuff, and both of those fit very thematically with their worlds, but they're also very minor things. I do think when you start going, the arena mode's going to be a large feature of a game, that's where the problems often arise.
Or a feature of a DLC, which is part of what killed it for me very early on. Just the concept of arenas kind of thing. The Mad Moxie DLC in Borderlands 1. Yeah, because that's basically all you do.
Yeah.
And it was unforgiving. It started to get pretty unforgiving from what I remember, and you would have to start it over completely, and it would be multiple rounds, upwards of 10-15 rounds, and if you died on the 15th round, you have to start them all over again. And oh man,
yeah, I
could go on a separate rant about artificially lengthening your gameplay, but that is ridiculous.
Oh, with you mentioning artificially lengthening the gameplay and also arenas, Shadow of War, I really like the arena fighting in that, because it's just an AI arena fight where you send your own things and you get to watch them fight, which is kind of fun. But I think that's a good way to do an arena differently, because it's not you fighting waves of enemies, it's a one-on-one sort of fight between follower and enemy. Or follower and follower if you're vindictive.
Is there a speed up function for that yet? Or did that ever happen?
Not as far as I know. I mean, the arena fights tend to take about 30 seconds to a minute, so they're not very long. Maybe
they got improved after I quit playing.
Possibly, because I've been playing it maybe a few months ago, and the arena fights, most of them were over in about 30 seconds or so. If you've got an even half decent matchup, then they die quickly. Some of them are over in like 10 seconds. Get someone like who's mortally vulnerable to fire, and someone just smacks them with a fire club. You just watch them roll on the ground, and their health bar just go.
You control the matchups, right? So you can make that happen if you want to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, a game that a good example of arena fights is the Ratchet and Clank series. A lot of the time they are like optional sections of the game, and generally have, some kind of sometimes have like some kind of combination of things where they have your standard like arena deathmatch type of things, but there's also modifiers where there's like electrified or flame plates on the floor that flip over and back and forth and stuff like that. So it keeps it kind of interesting, and it also can affect the enemies, so it's it can be kind of fun in that sense. But then they have like these obstacle courses, which are platformer segments with something the game does well, to like split it up a little bit, which I think they strike a pretty good balance that way. But again, like a lot of it is still optional. Like you can get the objective and then move on, or like complete all of it if you want to. So that's
Well, neither of you have convinced me, so let's just move on.
I was actually about to say, we've had too many good examples. Jared, what's the worst arena you can think of in a game?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't prepared. I just wanted to complain about it.
Oh, can I suggest one? Can I suggest one?
Please.
Any arena with a boss.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, I don't hate it. I just like, I'm kind of, I don't know. Like, I might draw a little bit of you here, Sarge, but I feel like an arena combat like Oblivion was fun because it was in first person, and I'm not normally on this boat that much, but like, being able to put yourself in those shoes, like you're in the arena and you can look at the audience and be like, I'm a gladiator, cool, that's more enjoyable. So like Amalur, arena combat that I can think of, like Dragon Age, the first Dragon Age. Was there an arena in Mass Effect? I don't think there was. I tend to find myself just kind of like trying to get through those moments. Like I just want to fight the enemies, get the rewards, and move on with the game.
Yep.
There's an arena in the Citadel DLC.
Is there? I can't remember. It's been a while.
But you can go on a date with Jack in that one, and it's freaking awesome.
Yeah. So I don't have a specific anything for you, gentlemen, but it's just something that I was thinking about when we were talking about it, and I said it out loud, and I regret it.
No, I feel like you've got a solid point on that. I very much know the feeling of just being like, well, let's just kill these enemies until I'm given a reward.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
I think the big, like, crucial point in making a decent arena, or even good arena, is to break up, not make sure it doesn't get too monotonous if you're not doing the same thing over and over and over and over.
Yep.
And for the bad example that we use, or that I use, which was Mad Moxie's Underdome or whatever, like that's all that first of all, Borderlands is all about shooting people. So so there's not not too much room for variation in there.
I think
maybe that
I'm
was
just playing devil's advocate more than anything, I think.
Oh, okay.
Like we can't bring up a topic and all of us just like it. I gotta try to come up with stuff that counters.
Yep. Well, speaking of Devil's Advocate, does anyone remember the Devil's Advocate series that Shoddycast kind of did?
I do. There's
Oh,
2 episodes.
There are. It was announced 3 years ago. There's less than an hour of footage on the videos, including the trailer.
Okay, you want to talk about the recent videos?
I didn't watch the recent one, and I don't want to.
I don't know. I don't know who we're talking about.
We're talking about Shoddycast. We're talking about the guys who did the was the freaking
Storyteller
series that they Storyteller, yeah.
They did
became known for the
really good stuff like 5+ years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like real good lore. Actually, I'm gonna say 6+ years ago.
Yeah, and like
7+
machinima
years
based
ago.
stuff, high quality content.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe 8+ years ago.
Yeah. Stop making it a longer amount of time, Sarge.
I'm just scrolling through and I'm like, I didn't actually enjoy
I'm growing a
many of
beard right
these.
now. So obviously the new thumbnail for the Shoddycast is Fallout 76 actually good now, and then the thumbnail is like Fallout 76 what went wrong, and the frowny face Vault Boy. It's like textbook clickbait.
Yeah.
But I did watch it, and Austin did go over, and Austin was doing the voiceover stuff, of course, but he did go over the promises made to players, how the developers were being treated, the beta, like a lot of stuff in that 13-minute video, which was, fairly pleasantly surprising for, waiting so long for anything to happen on this channel.
What are you talking about? The last upload was 9 months ago. It's
Yeah.
barely any time at all.
Yep. Just
And then
able
before
to
that, it
hang
was
in
a
there
year
for
ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah. It's-
yeah. Yep.
Still has over 1 million subscribers. Wow.
So yeah, oh yeah, of course. Like
Maybe that's
so
the secret.
essentially what happened was Shoddycast, the keys to Shoddycast were just given to Austin because the initial team were kind of just done with it. So he was kind of left to his own device, and he kind of started, doing these various video experiments and stuff like that. But it turned out the Is Shoddycast Dead video was like a good look into like what was going on with Austin himself, which kind of, there's a lot of mental health stuff related to it, but long story short, like he wasn't entirely able to shoulder the burden of both the channel and also, being the only real active person on the channel, getting the influx of blame for the channel dying, if that makes sense. Like all of that became his burden because he was the last person's standing, basically, for Shoddycast. But after that point, of course, they did the Elden Ring thing, which I didn't watch because I'm not a Souls-like player guy. Didn't really apply to me. But I did watch the 9 month ago video, which was the tragic story of Fallout's Caesar, or Caesar, the second Devil's Advocate video, which was good. It was really good, and it had a lot of the machinima kind of animation stuff too. But with this most recent update, he did also mention that he has somebody else actually writing the scripts, which probably takes a lot of pressure off of him. So maybe there will be more content, but we have yet to see how consistent that content will be. I know I'm also not one to talk when it comes to consistency, so I'm just hoping he's in a good place mentally and health-wise, that he can actually enjoy doing this kind of thing instead of, worrying too much about how it's going to be treated when it's uploaded and shown. Or how he will be blamed / appreciated. I don't know. I'm just saying things now. But I did enjoy the Storyteller quite a bit.
Yes.
I didn't watch the entirety of the Storyteller series, but
it went much more narrative at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Much less lore. Like, I like old Shoddycast. They did really good lore videos for both getting you into the basics of Elder Scrolls and Fallout lore and delving into more specifics. But I've been scrolling through, and there's like the odd video here and there from like the past 6 years that I enjoy, but overwhelmingly it's like nope. Just clearly modern Shoddycast is not for me.
If any of you are like old school Shoddycast fans, or if you are a fan of Austin's kind of breakdown video essay style, there might be more to come on the Shoddycast channel. Not sponsored. I just want to let everybody know, because in my subscriber feed that could have just passed me by and I wouldn't have even realized that they uploaded something.
Definitely not sponsored, because I've actually unsubscribed from them because I'm not interested. And talking about it has made me realise that I don't care. So, yeah.
Great topic.
Speaking of unsubscribing, all of you should unsubscribe to me right now.
Oh no, don't say that. Don't do it.
Hey, look, if it's been a long time and you realise you no longer enjoy the content, you don't have to stay subscribed to people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to be better these days about unsubscribing, especially when I get channels that are like filling up my sub feed with stuff that I'm never gonna watch. I'm like, yeah, I don't actually enjoy this channel. Let's go.
That's generally a sign that you should probably unsubscribe and move on.
Yeah, and considering it's been a good half a decade since I've really enjoyed a Shoddycast video, I think it's probably time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a long time. Still makes me feel old, but
I enjoyed them when I was a teenager.
It's hard to stop.
I feel old now.
Where's my teeth?
But everyone should definitely not do that with us, though. Like, stay subscribed to us forever. Even if you stop enjoying it, keep watching it. Just do it.
Just hate watch.
Just hate watch, binge watch our entire playlist library. Show us what for. A little reverse psychology there,
we're
boys.
telling people to hate watch on the Christmas episode, by the way.
Yeah.
Just a quick reminder.
Yes. Mission accomplished.
Just us specifically. Hit the bell, subscribe, hate watch, buy our merch.
Yes.
Yeah. Do it.
Consume.
So good. I mean, bad.
Well,
or I don't know.
Shall we move on to the topic?
yeah, I think we're done with the news.
So I would like to ask the viewers or listeners first, what are your most memorable new or new to you gaming experiences of 2022? Games that you've returned to the most, like your comfort games. The favorite things that you've made if you are someone who creates content or art or something like that, and what your plans are for 2023. You don't have to answer all of those, but those are the things that we're going to be going over for the topic, because it's a nice end of year roundup kind of thing that I just kind of threw up there, and Jared and Sarge were on board.
Yes.
So
I'm looking through the notes. Caedo has like about double what Jared and I have combined.
that's because the idea was already in my head, and I also looked through my Steam library by when these games were played and uploaded or installed.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of going first, because I've taken up a lot of airtime already, I'm going to ask Jared to go first in our most memorable new or new to us gaming experiences of 2022.
Okay. Well, I will work in reverse of my short list because I feel like it.
Okay.
Honestly, this was a little bit difficult for me to figure out because, as I've mentioned before, this year has been kind of a bit of a gaming funk for me. I have a hard time finding games that keep my attention and that I really am enjoying like they used to. Not to sound like an old fogey or anything like that, but it's just been one of those years. Maybe it's only been half the year. I don't know. But one of the most recent games that I played that I really enjoyed was the recent Spider-Man game, Miles Morales. Been a big fan of the Spider-Man games. Is Insomniac?
Yeah. Insomniac's games.
Yeah, they make some good Spider-Man games. It makes you really feel like you're a friendly neighborhood Spidey. And this one takes you into the Spider-Man shoes of Miles Morales, kind of the protege of Spider-Man. And it was great. It was a fun game. I 100%ed it.
Wow.
Which I don't do very often.
Impressive.
But it was one of those games where a lot of it was just fun to do. Like there is some like fetch quests and stuff, but for the most part it was fairly unique mission content and stuff like that. It was just an overall well-made game. And of course I have to mention indie game of the year, Stray.
Yeah.
It was just a great game. It's probably one of my favorites of the year, easily. Not just because it was nominated and won and all that stuff, some of the indie game stuff, but just in an environment of, you know, just varying qualities of games when it comes to indie games, because you've got ranging from small teams to single person working in their basement while still going to school. You know, like it's I'll be honest, some of those games are better than AAA games.
Yeah, they are. Because they know what fun means.
Yeah.
And aren't blinded by money.
Exactly. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, Stray was great. Refreshing change of pace. Just, you know, I think we've talked about it before, so I'm not going to go too much into it. I don't know how much we want to talk about each game individually, since there's so much we're talking about here, so I don't want to take up too much time either. And then I would say number one on my list is Pentiment.
What?
Yeah, I finally played it. Actually, Crazy Eyed Eddie bought it for me. Yeah,
what a sweet dude.
Because he had been streaming it and thought that I would really enjoy it, and I told him not to, but he did it anyways. And
that sounds like something Eddie would do.
Yeah, it totally is. And it's a good game. It's different. If you're expecting Fallout New Vegas, don't. There's nothing like it.
But it has to be New Vegas. The guy who made the entirety of New Vegas made it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Josh Sawyer, the maker of the entire New Vegas.
Yes. No, it's a point and click. It's a point and click type game set in like I think it's like Renaissance time period, because there is like not muskets, but what's the other older rifle? Arbalist? That's like they do with trees.
That's crossbows.
Yeah, arquebust or something like that. I can't remember. I'm dumb.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's like Renaissance time period though, because there's a lot of art. There's a lot of art influence, and that was kind of a Renaissance time period thing. I believe was a big resurgence of art and expressionism and blah 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 blah. But I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
I get that.
It is very different though. It deals, it's not a focus of the game, but there's a lot of like Renaissance time period Bavaria region Christianity, and I don't want to say that to turn people off of the game, because it's not a focus, it's just historical, because that was a big thing in that time period, was religion and the church. And in the game, you've got like Martin Luther and the articles and all that stuff that happens, and that ends happening in the background. But the game itself is its own thing. It's a murder mystery. It's a lesson on life. It's a lesson on, you know, just it's just a great game. I definitely recommend everyone give it a try, at least.
I think if I could make a suggestion, like if people are like more curious about the game, because it is by Josh Sawyer of Obsidian, like it was his team that put the game together, a smaller team, by the way. That Alana Pierce did a video game writing 101 podcast with Josh Sawyer, like he was the guest on, and he did a very good job explaining it. And they didn't spoil the game, but they did talk about the development of the game, like what they thought it was going to do performance wise, how awesome Game Pass is.
Yes, that's a good
by
thing
giving
to
the
mention.
opportunity, giving that game the opportunity to actually like exist and grow at a Game Pass price tag instead of a game release price tag, which was really cool. And they went into the era, the research, the ridiculous amount of characters that that Josh Sawyer would like just spitball to one of his team members, and he would use like a couple of descriptors, and then they would suddenly have a full page of like who this person is, what their daily life is like, what their job is, like what their religious affiliations are, like all this kind of stuff, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
so.
and like you said, it's on Game Pass, so it's if you've got Game Pass and you want to try it out without spending money on it and getting a feel for it, you can do that with Game Pass, which is really cool.
Yep.
But
Get Game Pass.
I definitely highly recommend it, though. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got. So who's next?
Nice. Sarge.
So I'm going to try and mirror Jared a little bit with my choices and start with Final Fantasy. Because the Pixel remaster of Final Fantasy 1 through 6 came out towards the start of this year, and it gave me a chance to really experience them while not looking as bad as they do, seeing as the games are old now. And
Very old.
yeah, just real old. And I really, really enjoyed the first Final Fantasy. It's just pure distilled FF in its like most basic format, but it works really well. It's easy to kind of just pick up and play and get through and understand. So I ended up 100% again.
Nice.
Because it was just really good.
That's awesome.
On to an indie game I played. Well, kind of indie, I think. Maybe. I don't know what the word indie means. Citizen Sleeper.
Independent.
Which, yeah, might be an indie game. It's really good. It's very, like, emotional and narrative. The gameplay is based on, like, dice rolling and using the rolls of the dice to achieve different functions on a spaceship you're on, and it's just got a really interesting story. It's very emotional. It's very it's got like some rich ambience to it all. It's difficult to explain it just in words, I'd say, because it's very much a feeling sort of game, which I normally don't buy into, but this was done very well. The gameplay was solid, and you're a kind of a robot, which I'm always for.
Right on.
Being a mechanized humanoid is superior.
Yes.
Obviously.
If you want to make me experience feelings, just make me be a robot. They are far more emotional than I.
Well, I remember you singing very high praises of this game. Like probably the most praise I've heard from you about any game, really.
Oh,
Yeah,
just you wait.
I was a bit surprised.
When we were going over it and the what we played thing, when you first talked about it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very good. I also want to briefly sing the praise of High on Life, which is a modern first-person shooter. Came out like a week or two ago, I want to say. Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago it came out, I think. And it's from Rick and Morty Wubba Dub Dub people. And it's very much got the same sense of humour as the show, so if you like that, great. If you don't, well, probably won't want to play this. But there's a brilliant point early on where you get the opportunity to unalive a youngling.
Yeah.
And they go super meta about it, and I'm like, well, that's wasted the E for everybody rating on the game. And then you talk to the mother of the unalived individual, and they were like, well, it was a child for our alien species, but it was actually 30 years old, so you shouldn't feel bad. You only committed regular murder.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like that's a nice slice of the kind of humor you get for it.
That's pretty great.
Yep. There's also the entirety of the movie Tammy and the Teenage T-Rex, which plays on the TV in your house.
The entire movie.
The entire movie, which I watched recently with my sister and her other half, who bought the movie because it's so bad that we decided we have to watch it. And it is ridiculous. It's terrible. And then I was just playing this game by chance, and it showed up. And I first saw the poster of it, and I was like, that's crazy, there's a poster of this movie. And then you can sit down on the sofa and just watch the entire thing, which is just in the game.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, but it's just a fun little game is all. And finally,
That's awesome.
the best game I have played in years is Chained Echoes.
Oh.
This
Better
is...
than Citizen Sleeper?
Yes. Yeah. This is amazing. It's very much kind of your JRPG, 16-bit kind of styling sort of game. Turn-based combat, all of that. And it's so good. It's modern, it is indie. This one's definitely indie. Matthias Linder is the person who made it. It's basically a one-person team.
Nice.
Who made this game. And it's like a huge JRPG. It's kind of very much medieval fantasy, but also with modern technology in certain aspects. Like, there's guns. You get a gun spear as one of the weapon types. There's also sky armors, which are your floating mech suits you get into and get rewarded, and it offers offers a different kind of system of combat with different moves and stuff, and added mobility. There's some nice combat gimmicks where there's a bar up top where you get the normal mode, the green mode where you're better at stuff, and the red mode where you take more damage, and it's all about balancing moves at the right time to stay in the green for as long as possible. Like, the combat gimmick is brilliant. It just hits every note on the standard turn-based combat. The story is great, because it has a lot of, like, throwbacks to classic JRPGs and stuff like that. There's even a few characters. There's one character called Tonk, who's basically Queener from Final Fantasy IX. Just eats stuff to learn moves. And very much a comedy character, which is great.
Blue magic.
Yep. Yeah. And the leveling system's really fun. There's an adventurers guild you get to go around, which gives you like extra tasks to do for rewards as you play, and it encourages exploring and going after unique monsters to hunt, which have specific ways you activate them, and you have to talk to citizens to learn how they came across these monsters and stuff. It's so beautiful. The story as well, I love it. It is going a bit of the classic JRPG, everything's a bit weird, but it still manages to stay very grounded. Like, there's some real kind of, like, mental healthy stuff thrown in there. I can't think of the right word, but you really get to understand, like, how people are feeling. And there's this, I almost put it down as, like, the saddest scene I've seen in a while. There's Glenn and the Orphans, is all I'm going to describe it as. And there's just a huge rug pull on this already sad moment to make you realise things are so much worse. And it hits so hard. I'm not going to spoil it, but when the game like tricks you, it's great. And it's got some good meta humour as well. It's not all sad and stuff. There's this one woman, you walk into her house, and she's like, "Oh, hey there, do you want anything? A cup of tea? Coffee? Maybe you want to sleep in my bed? Or use my toilet? No? Then why are you in here? Stop barging into people's houses."
Nice.
It's brilliant. Anyone who enjoys like old SNES-style JRPGs and turn-based combat and all of that should play Chained Echoes. It's on Game Pass, which is how I'm playing it, and it's brilliant.
It's also on Steam, which is why I was looking for its trailer, because I wanted to see it to put it on my wish list.
It is on Steam as well. Should 100% be in your wish list. Should actually be in your basket, and you should have clicked purchased already. It is that good. I'm only like 35 hours in, but there's still more to go. I still haven't
only 35 hours.
I haven't unlocked all the characters.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you get to see like the different weapon types. Someone uses cards as their weapons, and I haven't encountered anyone who uses cards as the weapons yet. So I'm still waiting to unlock them.
It's just going to be you as a character.
Maybe. But additionally, there's characters who you only unlock in... There's like at least one character who you have to do a side quest to unlock, which I really enjoy. So there's technically missable characters, which is nice. I like that just as a minor thing. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to talk more about Chained Echoes because I could talk for the entire length of the Pipcast about it, but I won't. So Caedo, what game you like and stuff?
What game I like and stuff? Well, gee whiz, Sarge, I have a big list that I've cut down to 4 because I didn't want to surpass both of you in how many I had listed.
Aww.
So, because we have other stuff to talk about and maybe make it through. So I have a hard time determining like what would be my best of this year gaming experience because there's been so freaking many. But we'll start with what I've been playing most recently, which was Valheim Mistlands, which is the Mistlands update for Valheim. Valheim is a Viking survival game that takes place in Norse like Norse fan fiction land.
Yep.
Where you're in the Viking purgatory, and so you're in technically an afterlife, but it's gorgeous, and also stylized. But it's a survival game that I found extremely addictive and enjoyable all the way through, and the new content even more so. Like they are pursuing the vision that they want for this game, and it has not disappointed yet for me. I'm also running a server from the laptop in the corner of my room on my Discord if you want to join my Valheim server. Because that's how much I've been playing it, and that's how much my friends wanted me to host a dedicated server so they could play it while I'm sleeping. So been running that. Not much more to explain because I don't want to spoil the Mistlands for those who haven't experienced it yet. But in my breaks between playing Valheim Mistlands, I played Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, which is the Crisis Core remake / remaster thing. It's somewhere in the middle of the PSP title that hardly anyone got to play because not everybody had a PSP, and it was the one Final Fantasy VII game on the PSP. Yep. Or spin-off that was on the PSP. And it's been dramatically improved. The combat is actually fun. It's very enjoyable to play. It still has the kind of not so great yet endearing dialogue of games from that like mid 2000s, early 2000s era, where it's all like stilted and doesn't really make sense. Like normal people don't talk like this kind of thing. It's campy, but it's still very fun. And when I think all of the voice actors are new, or voice actors that are in like the remake cast as well. So like everything has been re-recorded. NPCs that didn't have voice lines initially, like just walking around the world, now do. Like I said, the combat is reworked. The materia fusion is great still. I don't know what else to say. Gameplay's fun, story's great. Genesis sucks. Play it. I guess. It's just a fun little Final Fantasy adventure. Yeah. And the prequel to Final Fantasy VII. So you're playing as Zack, not Cloud, but Cloud does make an appearance. But I'm not going to spoil that if you haven't played it. So the other two games that okay. I'll just end with the one I played the most. So Death Stranding Director's Cut came out on PC this year and in March, and I played that a lot because Death Stranding is one of my favorite games in general. And the Director's Cut was just more of that. So I played that more. Norman Reedus delivering packages, connecting the survivors via super internet. It's a fun time. User placed content, or user what am I trying to say? Players helping other players throughout the game. Asynchronous multiplayer functionality. That's what I'm trying to say. You can help other players by placing structures and stuff like that. I've said this many times before. It's just a cool game, cool concept. And there's a sequel coming, which completely blindsided me at the Game Awards, so I am so freaking excited.
Yeah.
Because it didn't need one. Like, it was a fine, self-contained story that I did not expect a sequel from, but that they're gonna make one anyway.
I still haven't played
and
the
a
first
show.
one.
I mean, not a show, a movie. There's gonna be a movie too that Kojima's working on as well. Anyway, which you should play, by the way, Jared.
I know. I own it. I just haven't played it.
And finally, probably the game I've put. Well, no, Valheim is actually the one I put the most hours in, but the one that's been kind of the most diverse and fun and enjoyable with my friends has been Monster Hunter Rise. That came to PC at the very beginning of the year in January, and I've been constantly, like, either every month or every other month going back to it to play. At this point, my partner Kite has greatly surpassed the hours that I've spent in Monster Hunter Rise and my master rank and hunter rank as well, leaving me in the dust a little bit, but it is fun jumping back in and hunting with my friends every so often, because a couple of my other buddies do play as well, fairly regularly. It's just it's one of those games where you can have a short burst or a long marathon, because the hunts last anywhere from like 8 to 20 minutes if you know what you're doing. If you have a fair grasp on the weapon you chose and the monster you're fighting. But yeah, Monster Hunter Rise is just fun. Just a lot of fun hunting monsters, doing all that stuff. And I've said that multiple times, many times. So we're gonna move on to our most returned to in parentheses comfort games of 2022. Games that we've gone back to that aren't necessarily new, but games that we have enjoyed anyway. So should I flip a coin, or should I just say Jared go first?
I'll just go first. We could just stick with the order.
The reverse order?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, been playing. Playing is an interesting word. Skyrim, I've put a lot of time into, but it's mostly been modding it. But I will say that I've got it to a point where I'm happy with it, like performance wise, visually, and everything. Like I don't unless something amazing comes out, I don't think I'll gonna be adding anything else to it at this point.
Okay.
So, but I actually haven't played it in a little bit. So I've been trying to catch up on like my game library in general. So I haven't actually played it in a little bit, but it is definitely, like, for a while there, it took up a lot of my spare time. Like a strange, like I mentioned before, the gaming funk, not knowing what to play, and like that scratched an itch that needed, and it's what I needed to do, and it took up a lot of free time, and it was fun, and I probably will continue, and I'll start playing it, like the actual game, not just modding it. You know, I actually do play it.
Yeah.
I promise I do play it.
I don't believe it.
Hey, you had.
I mean, I see the achievements you unlock. I see how long it takes you to get to level 5.
Well, that's only because I start new characters over and over again. Because, like, so here's the thing, like, when you're modding, if you screw up, you pretty much corrupt that save file sometimes, and you just have to start over.
Yeah.
So that's probably why that is that way. As far as other games that I've returned to, I've started playing Red Dead Redemption 2 again. I realized that I'd only played through it like once, and I'd been seeing a lot of gameplay videos on like TikTok and stuff like that. I'm like, you know, I should play this game again. It's a good game. Like, the attention to detail that Rockstar puts into their games is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And Red Dead Redemption is right up there. Like, GTA's got like good detail, but like some of the videos I'm seeing, it's like, man, I didn't realize how how much this game was, and I need to play it again. So I've started playing that again, and it's a great game. If you haven't played it, you should play it. That's pretty much it, though. Pretty much it for like returning titles or comfort games for me. Who's next? I'm done talking.
I wish I could get into Red Dead, but it's the Western thing. I just can't. I just don't.
I like me some
don't jive with it,
man.
Yeah.
I've got me a hat.
Ooh. Well, I'm sold.
There was meant to be more, but I lost my train of thought.
No. 100% perfect game at that point. If it's got hats, I'm in.
No, I've got a real hat, is what I was saying. Like, I actually have, like, a Stetson cowboy hat that I never wear that someone gave me.
Wow.
And guns. I'm a cowboy, guys. All I need is a horse. Oh, I've got an iron steed. I've got a motorcycle. I'm a modern cowboy.
Oh, a steel horse you ride.
Yeah, that's how the song goes.
Yeah, wanted it alive.
Copyright. Yeah. I definitely understand that point of view. Like, Westerns have always been one of those genres that it's equally divided. You're either really into it or just not at all. I get it. But it's actually got a really, like, sad story. Like, talk about emotional narrative and stuff. Like, it's not just boo 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 boo, I'm a rob you, heh. You know, there's actually depth and character development and stuff like it. But anyways, I'm done. Who's next?
Sarge.
I've got a pretty short one. I've gone back to Skyrim for like comfort within content, because Skyrim's just a very easy game to cover. So I've been playing a lot of it. It does fairly well on the channel, which means I can keep making videos as my job. So yeah, Skyrim, it exists.
Yep,
sure does.
Is it a modded playthrough, Sarge?
No. People in the comments keep being like, "Oh, you should do this mod to do this thing, or you should do this mod to do this thing, or you should do this mod to do this thing."
They're all me.
Jared's just made like 100 separate accounts to tell me to install mods. Yeah, I don't play modded. Another game I don't play modded is Total War Warhammer 3, which is kind of like my comfort game, I'd say, out of anything. Because it's just real nice and relaxing to go into it. I typically play on like the lower to lowest difficulties. I just get to be characters and go around and conquer an entire world, and that's comforting to me, you know? Just max domination of basically a planet and extermination of billions and billions of lives.
Wow.
It just relaxes me, you know?
It's so chill.
Yeah. It's about as chill as I get with gaming.
It's super chill.
Very comforting. What have you been doing, Caedo?
Well, a couple of the most returned to games are also on my most memorable for the last year. Like Death Stranding, director's cut. Like, Death Stranding is just amazing to me. Like, it's not everybody's cup of tea, obviously. It's such a divisive game, but like, it's, for me, it's right there. It's just freaking great. But a couple of games that I have returned to that I would consider my comfort games are Divinity Original Sin 2 with either one of my friends or my partner. Like, this time I think I played with Dakoba, moderator Dakoba, and we did a little bit of variation on our builds, but I think I just really like spear builds, so I just kind of went that route with my character again. At least I believe so. It's been a minute now, but again, Divinity Original Sin 2 allows for a lot of role-playing, both in the sense of building your characters, having characters that exist in the world as part of your party to kind of draw you in at the same time. It's a really nice balance that you can have with Divinity Original Sin 2. And I got to see storylines that I hadn't seen before because I brought on other characters that I hadn't brought before, which was really cool. Like, I keep hearing like this cool wanting developers to include things in their games that can be missed by the majority of players, but the ones that do discover them are completely blown away by something of that nature. And I've seen that reoccurring. We know why that developers don't go out of their way to do that, but we wish that they did, kind of thing. And Divinity Original Sin 2 is a good example of that, because from the beginning you choose your team and you're kind of stuck with them for the majority of the game. But you don't know until much later in the game that some of those teammates have like pretty long, expansive stories that they have to tell, and even areas that you can't access unless they're with you. So I brought Losa with me, who is the bard character, who has a demon in her body. Like, she exorcisms don't work. She just has a demon that takes over her body whenever it feels like. Cool initial backstory for a character, but what unfolds later is so freaking cool. So that's just an example of part of it. And also the fact that it is cooperative. You can play it with, I believe, up to 4 people. You can enjoy that experience with other people too. And the gameplay mechanics aren't what's the word I'm looking for? Not immersion.
It's always
the
immersion.
The gameplay mechanics account for multiple players, instead of just, if one person is in a conversation, they can't like listen in or anything like that. Like, it has a mechanic specifically so you can. So like, you can all be involved with the story, and yeah, be part of the world while you're playing together. So it's just a good computer RPG to play with your friends.
Totally.
And another one is Kenshi. When Sarge was talking about genociding a whole planet, Kenshi is kind of the opposite, where the whole planet just hates you. And you're a nothing when you start a game in Kenshi, and you kind of work your way up the food chain.
To be fair, in Total War Warhammer 3, everyone hates you. You just have an army. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Oh, okay. So kind of similar, but yeah, when you start in Kenshi, you can start at the very lowest part of the totem pole and kind of work your way up. And you can do that, in a very open world, kind of do what you need to survive sense. And it's a game I like to go back to because of that. You can start as, a couple of people. This is how we started this time, was me and RoboKite were in a cannibal camp. Like, that's how we started the game. I got eaten and Kite survived because they're a robot. And cannibals don't eat metal. So Kite got away, crawled away, and then eventually went on their adventure to eventually avenge Caedo by slaughtering all of the cannibals of Dark Tongue, I think was the name of the area, or Dark Fang, whatever. But it was obviously a very cool story that evolved from my gameplay, which is what Kenshi really kind of excels at. So, and it's just a brutal survival game, so there is also that. But yeah, those are my comfort games. Probably a weird choice for Kenshi for some other people, but then I heard Sarge's and I don't feel as weird. So
I need new friends.
Just go on the podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, we also are content creators. Yes.
What?
I believe so.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure.
I just play one on TV.
Yep. So we also have a list of the favorite of our created content, or things that we were most proud of that we made in 2022 as well. And for me, it actually helps remind me like what I actually did this year, because sometimes it doesn't seem like much.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually in my room just sitting at my computer. So Jared, what have you done that you were particularly proud of this year on your channel?
Oh, I'd say it's a mix between it's proud of, but also just like enjoyed in general. Some of the videos, which is like completely different than most of the stuff that I actually do on my channel, which is like horror indie games. It's actually just been reaction videos, which I never thought I'd ever do, because I'm not really into those as like as a viewer. But there's a series of videos that have been incredibly popular. The 16-year-old kid using, I think, like Blender and other softwares has made this sort of like mini series on YouTube concerning the back rooms, which, if you don't know what the back rooms is like an alternate.
It's creepypasta.
It's more or less. It started as a it started off as a copy pasta, which I don't know what the difference between copy pasta and creepypasta is. There might not be any difference. I'm dumb. Yeah, but they're really good. They're really well made, but just like the whole idea of the backrooms is fascinating to me. It's an alternate reality that you can kind of fall into, and his videos delve into this organization called Async. They're like researchers or scientists that have somehow developed a gateway to this other reality to use it for whatever they want to use it for, but don't realize that there's creatures that live there and people who have been going there by accident for years. And it's just this like VHS found footage aesthetic. Like a lot of this stuff takes place in like the late 80s, early 90s, so all the technology has that feel to it. And it's just really well made. So every time this guy Kane Pixels is the channel, whenever he comes out with a new video, at this point I watch it, react to it, and I put it on. Seems to do well, because again, the backrooms is just a really popular thing right now, I guess. And I also just enjoy it because I find it really interesting, and it's just fun to kind of, I don't know, get kind of sucked into a fake fictional thing that isn't a video game.
Yeah.
Other things that I just had a blast with. None of this to me is like really stuff that I'm necessarily proud of. It's just like the stuff that I had the most fun with. Like most of my content that I create is just like based upon how much fun I have doing it. And
well, that counts for something, for sure.
Well, yeah, you know, because I don't know. That's just the way I approach. Like if I play something and I hate it, I'm not making a video out of it. Just like, yeah, I'm not gonna force it, because you're gonna be able to tell that I hated it.
Yeah, if you're commentating over it, people will be able to tell if you hate something. Like unless people can pick up, especially if you're showing your face, like people can pick up on it pretty easy.
Unless I'm being incredibly sarcastic while doing it. or playing like a rage game where you're supposed to get really pissed off, which I don't do because I don't like getting pissed off. I prefer to have fun. Another instance or series of things that I really enjoyed was some live streaming that I actually did with Crazy Eyed Eddie, which you guys know, and most people who listen probably know who he is as well. For a while there, we were streaming pretty regularly, and the most fun was when we were playing the game Grounded, which is when you're little in the backyard and there's giant spiders that are terrifying, and your friend tricks you into a nest of like 6 of them and laughs hysterically, and then you clip the video so you can watch it because it's genuinely hilarious. And another game called The Forest, which is a terrifying horror survival crafting game that is absolute blast to play with someone else. I would love to do more live streaming with Mr. Eddie, but his schedule and mine do not meld well, so it doesn't happen as much. We're lucky enough to actually do the Babbling Bros podcast as it is, so but those are really fun. And then I have to mention the video that got me that second shout out from good old Markiplier. Am I proud of it? I don't really think that I am. I enjoyed the game, and like the developer actually comes on to stream sometimes, and he actually he was the one that actually put me in one of his games. I think I mentioned in a past episode.
Yeah, that's right.
So like, I'm more proud of the fact that I get to like communicate with this game developer in that way more.
What's the name of the game? By the way,
the second one was a game called After School. That was the most recent one. and the developer is, and I always say it wrong, and I'm gonna say it wrong now, but his name is like Sir Carto or something like that. There's like an X in there. It makes no sense. But he seems really cool. But yeah, am I proud of that? I don't know. I mean, it's definitely, worth mentioning, I guess, because that doesn't happen very often to anyone in the regards of the particular person that did it and whatnot. But it's definitely one of the big moments, at least for me and my channel. The second one. So that's all I could think of, like, last minute, or when you told us to come up with stuff. So that's all you're getting.
Okay. Well, thank you.
My pleasure. Sarge.
I did see a couple of those backrooms things, by the way.
Oh, you
like,
did?
because Kite was watching them, and I was, in their room, like, hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh no, this is spooky, I can't look.
Some of it's
and
spooky.
then I stopped looking.
Some of it's spooky. Some of it's just
It's too scary.
Science fiction.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm easily spooked.
it's okay.
Sarge?
I have one thing on my list.
That you were proud of?
Man, I'm not a particularly prideful person, I guess. No, there's something I am genuinely proud of, though, is at the start of the year, I made a series called Fallout Raiders of New York, where I designed my own Fallout game and made a bunch of videos about what my perfect Fallout game would be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's set in New York, and has lots of Raiders factions. Yeah! The part about it I'm most proud of is the part of the game which I actually did make. Like, make in a playable state, which was the card game.
Yes.
Which, yeah, Caedo has played it. Because it's a playable card game. You just have to message me and have Tabletop Simulator, and we can play the card game. Because I made an actual playable card game. It works, and people enjoyed it. I had a friend of mine who's really into like trading card games and stuff as well, play it as well and enjoy it, which was a great sign. Like, I made a card game. And in the R plans for 2023, you'll see that has developed onto much bigger stuff. But yeah, I was proud of that. And that series in general, I'm quite happy about. I feel like I made a lot of good points, a lot of good pitches. The first episode in the series did really well, and the others, not so much. But there was some fun stuff. I found a way to make the Brotherhood of Steel more interesting again. Yeah, suck it, Brotherhood fans. I don't know, I liked that series. Most of this year has been, like, challenge runs, which they're good, but this was something I was actually proud of.
Nice.
Yeah. Challenge runs, you can just get up and go.
Yeah.
Like once you have the established.
Easy.
Yeah.
That's why we've got challenge in the name, because they're easy.
Yep. They're so easy.
No. If I survive realism mode, then I'll be proud of something, but we'll see. What are you proud of, Caedo?
Gee whiz, there was so many things that I did this year that I had to look through my videos to see that I did them. I didn't do many videos in the way of like proper guides this year. I did the entirety of the Fallout 2 playthrough from September 2021 to September 2022. And that took, a lot of my, bandwidth as a creator person, but it was a playthrough. It was, something that was pretty straightforward and easy to put together. There's something in my brain that's just like, oh, you have content this week, you're fine. Don't worry about making anything else. Which is not really sustainable. So something that I did that I'm particularly proud of was I did a Death Stranding tips and tricks, but what I was more proud of was my memory chips guide, which is one of my least viewed guides that I've done this year. So because it's 46, there's 46 collectibles in Death Stranding. You go around and pick them up, and they're pretty difficult to see, but Director's Cut made it easier to where you don't have to have like line of sight on them to scan for them. Like you can scan for them through like rock faces and stuff like that.
All right.
So it makes them a little bit easier to find, but there are 46 of them, and some of them are locked behind certain emails by increasing reputation with some people in the world. So I was pretty proud of making that guide, and getting a timely map from somebody in the Reddit community too that marked all of them on the map, without other marker bullcrap the game has all the time. So that one I was proud of. Again, didn't get many views, but it's also, I don't expect it to, because once people get that achievement, they're probably not going to try and get it again because it's so freaking many. But also, during the Fallout 2 playthrough, I had this plan. I had multiple goals in the Fallout 2 playthrough. Was to get all companions, to get the car, to get made man with all 4 families in New Reno, and that one I did end up making a guide on using the footage from that playthrough, because I did go through and become made man with all 4 families. It is a bit of an exploit, but it wouldn't have left my brain if I hadn't made it. That's a double negative. But I'm grateful that I did make it, so it did leave my brain finally. Because I just had this knowledge of, the possibility of doing that in there, and didn't know like all the special things you had to do to get made man with all 4, through this like kind of exploity method, and being able to do all their quests too, because if you start working for a family, become made man, all the other families become your enemy. So like you can cut off an entire quest chain just by helping one of them. But this guide allows you to help all of them and kind of break the game a little bit.
Yes.
But you get all the rewards too, so that's great. And let's see. A side trip that I made, which was probably the longest and longest little guide break that I took, was the Oblivion guide. They jumped back into Oblivion after a good like 7 years of not playing it. I jumped into Oblivion this year, did a couple of modifications to the game, and then I proceeded to start writing notes on a few guides and tips and tricks for a pretty old Elder Scrolls game at this point. How old is it? 2020 or 2004?
Oh, it's less than 20 years old.
March 20th, 2006. Okay.
Oh.
So it's like 15 years old. So I did I did guides on the tips and tricks. Obviously, I did a pilgrimage guide for doing a quick like hitting all 9 shrines pilgrimage thing, because apparently I learned that you can be so evil that like you can't get healed at altars in Oblivion.
Oh.
That's like one of those things that's kind of like if you're working for the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild, and like you leave everything else behind, like you can get screwed if like you don't want to become a vampire and you want to go heal yourself, you just can't. But anyway, I did that. I did a Black Soul Gem guide. I did a Data Artifacts guide, obviously, and I did, what else did I do? I think that was it. I think that was all of them. The Data Artifacts one was obviously the most important, because that's largely what people go after or know as like the quote unquote true uniques of the Elder Scrolls. Yeah. So those were what I was proud of. I've been talking too long, so let's move on to our plans for next year, 2023. Merry Christmas, by the way, guys. Yeah. I didn't say that.
Merry Christmas, man. Am I going first again? Obviously, that's what we decided, so.
Yeah. I don't know, Sarge is really quiet.
D?
Oh, yeah. I was expecting a bah humbug or something.
Oh, I was just tactfully saying nothing.
Oh, okay.
I recently watched my Sarge Hates Christmas video and figured I should not repeat any of the words I normally say.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear those words later.
I'll send you the video.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna look it up. All right, Jared, what are your plans?
Well, plans for 2023. Nothing too groundbreaking or anything. I'm just going to try to concentrate more on just more. When I first started my channel, I was doing like, 7 videos a week, and I did that for about 3 years straight.
Oh my God.
And yeah, I was probably on Sarge level of cranking out content. In the last, I would say this year I toned it back a bit just because I was getting a little burned out. I wasn't making a whole lot of headway, and that can be a bit detrimental to a content creator, especially when you put in a lot of work and you're not seeing a whole lot of returns. So I decided I'm gonna scale back. I've only been doing like 3 videos a week. I haven't really been live streaming. It's just kind of taking it a little bit easy, but I had pretty much decided that, kind of like, New Year's resolution, whatever you want to call it, that in the next year I want to try to make a commitment to myself and to the people that watch my silly videos, that I want to try to get back into doing at the very minimum 5 a week, like Monday through Friday situation, but possibly doing 7 days a week thing again. It depends. But I felt like it was important to, and one of the reasons that I brought this up as an idea for this 100th episode is I feel like it's important to say this out loud, because it kind of holds me responsible to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to be like, in my head, think, oh, I'm gonna do all these things and I'm gonna blah, 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 and then you just don't do it because no one knows. Only I know. Yeah. But saying it out loud on the internet, it kind of, you're kind of, I don't want to say I'm making a promise, but you're putting it out there, and there's now an expectation, and I want to, it helps me to like kind of force myself to live up to that expectation and actually do it. So that's kind of my goals, to just do more daily, do at least daily videos again. And another thing that I want to definitely try to focus on is diversifying like the platform that I put my content on, which I've done a little bit. I do have a TikTok that I sometimes put stuff on, but I have been really bad about being consistent on it. I do some shorts as well, but I want to do more. I want to be more consistent doing it and just see what happens. Maybe nothing happens, but you never know until you try. So
yeah,
that's kind of my roadmap for 2023 as of right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good goal.
We'll see.
Yeah. I hazard to guess what Sarge is wanting to do.
Oh, I'm already doing daily content, so instead I'm gonna get a second job. I've started making board games.
Wow.
Yeah. One's already in a playable state. It's called Turncoat. It's made out of cereal boxes, and it's great fun.
Nice.
Like, it's getting really positive reviews, but I've made, like, the physical game, and I've done the first expansion pack, because someone wanted land cards to be added in. But it's a very fun game. A bit difficult to just describe without visual aids, but it's similar to Cosmic Encounter, if anyone's seen or played that. That's a no from these two, I'm guessing.
Yeah, sorry.
Nope.
But yeah, it's really good. It's a multiplayer game, like in-person board game, where you get a hand of cards with troops on them, and you lay down troops to like support one side or defend the other side. But there's a card called Turncoat, which is what the game's named after, which switches your troops to the opposite side. So it's all about like trying to get support from other players to win together, but you could be betrayed at any point. So it's interesting in that, and everyone's got a specific role which changes how they play in some way. Like there's the martyr, whose goal is to lose the game without any wins whatsoever, and then you win the game.
Ooh.
Which is like a really fun one. There's the assassin, who can just be like stab to people. There's the king, who can like get a win just instantly, because you need 5 wins to win the game essentially, and 3 losses, you're then out of the game. It's very easy to describe in person, it's very hard to describe without visual aids, but it's great fun. So I've now got 4 other board games, sort of board games, card games, tabletop RPGs, which I've conceptualized. I'm working on the TTRPG and getting a lot of stuff done for that, but it's a huge amount of work. I'm looking at someone to help with one of the board games, which is a very simple premise but requires some actual pieces to be made. And then the other two, one's kind of a party game, and the other one's me just going, I want like a good, easy game. So yeah, I want to make some board games next year, and I want at least Turncoat to get it in a non-cardboard cutout, writing the cards by hand sort of format.
A non-cereal box state.
Yeah, because I literally spent about 8 hours one day just cutting out a cereal box and writing down every single card. And there's I think there's a good few hundred of them now. So yeah, that was an entire day for me. And then everyone came over and we played the game. Or I say we played the game. I've still not actually played it. That's another thing I want to do. I want to play my own game, because I haven't had the chance to yet. I've only taught it to people. Yeah. But
Very
in terms
cool.
of stuff that will definitely be happening and you're seeing, I'm going to cover Starfield when that comes out. Hopefully in the next few months, maybe.
Yep.
The next 6 months, almost certainly. Or the next 10 years, definitely. Are you going to do the same thing, Caedo?
I am.
Oh, you're making board games too. Awesome. What are they called?
Well, back in the day, I think it was called like There Will Be Dragons or something like that. It was something along those lines. I did actually make a board game when I was in like junior high or something like that. I had little like those little gift shop dragons that you can get that are like made of like crappy resin that you can, just by holding it wrong, you can break them.
Oh, we don't sell dragons over here.
Okay.
That must be an American thing.
Well,
in fact, we
that's-
don't actually have dragons at all. They're mythological creatures in the UK.
What? Spoiler alert.
What kind of place do you live if you don't have a gift shop with just random bullcrap dragons in it
I don't know.
and fairies on crystal balls and whatever?
Oh yeah, we got those. Obviously,
Okay.
we got those.
You don't have dragons though. You don't have dragons on.
Dragons aren't real, as far as we're concerned. How could you buy something that isn't real?
You're being very secretive about that, Sarge.
What? There's nothing more to say here. Carry on with a different subject.
Okay, so yep, Starfield is my brain wants it to be Q1, but it may not be. So we're like Sarge, I'm kind of trying to fill time until that happens without too much of an investment in whatever I'm doing, just so I can, drop it when I need to, because we need a freaking release date.
Yeah.
And then I plan to play FF7 Rebirth, which is the next part of FF7 Remake. I wish they used numbers because the titles are starting to get really confusing because they all start with R as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be Remake and Part 2 is Rebirth, but then we just had Crisis Core Reunion come out. So like it's getting ridiculous already, and I want them to do just the like Last of Us thing where it's like Part 1, Part 2.
No,
Real
it's
straightforward,
simple.
people
It's
get it.
RFF7 RP2. I don't know what's difficult about that to understand. That means it's the third Final Fantasy VII style of remake. However, it's the sequel to the first one because the second one's a prequel. Come on.
Okay. So that that was me glitching. Sorry.
Yes.
But that's really all. I don't plan too far ahead. So I guess I'm just gonna continue doing the Fallout 3 special roulette playthrough. I've been really enjoying it still. I recorded, I think last night. Even though I hadn't recorded for like a month, it was easy enough to jump back in. I am enjoying it that much. So, yeah. So now I have to record a whole bunch of episodes for January, so I don't have to think about it. So, and that's what I'm looking forward to in 2023.
Nice.
But that's what we got. We don't need. Do we really need to do the what are we doing thing?
I feel like we've covered most of it.
Because we've pretty much covered most of that, yeah. So I want to ask the listeners, those who are still here, how is your Christmas going? Is this a cool down period after you feasted or beforehand? What did you get for Christmas if you're celebrating? What did you give someone for Christmas? Were they surprised? Were they happy? Were they super disappointed? Did you get a Christmas sweater? All of those questions, as well as the questions we've been answering here. I think I might have them on screen or at the very beginning kind of thing, like sectioned off as separate topics instead of just one whole like topic blurb. So If you feel like answering any of those questions, please do in the comments below. Is there any final words you gentlemen have for the Wastrels before 2023?
Entrenched. That's a good word.
Entrenched is a good word.
Here's to
Solid word.
here's to 100 more.
Oh god.
100 more episodes?
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. It'll be fun.
We need to get a mascot or something. I feel like I need to get more branding things, more things that get viewers engaged. Project Zomboid's got a little Tanuki now. Like we gotta do something to draw in viewers. Not a little Vault Boy, maybe a little cheese wedge that's got a face on it. It's like, oh, I'm the cheeseborn.
Oh dear.
Anyway,
Well, this spiraled out of control.
Yep. That was our special episode, everyone.
Yep. Thanks for joining us for this 100th episode. Catch you next year. Thanks so much for watching. In 2 weeks, we'll be talking about something else, Bethesda, Fallout, something related. Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Every other one, that is. Until then, take care of yourselves. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, all of that stuff. Goodbye.